All right, so big welcome, you guys, to our Swazi recap. My name is Denise Walsh, and 15 plus mark. So 16 of us flew down from the US of A to Swaziland, Africa to spend 10 days serving, loving, and just like wrapping our arms around the children and grandmas of Swaziland. And if you are listening to this Zoom, then that means that you have a heart to serve just like we do. And what I love about our company, you guys, is that we know that we are blessed to be a blessing, and we don't just work hard for our own sake, but we truly want to create a momentum, like a movement, not just with our company, but within the world. And I feel like that is what we were able to do in Swaziland. Lives are being changed all over the world, and it's because of what this company is doing. So I'm going to give you a bit of information on what we did, the itinerary, and if you're interested in partnering with us, you'll hear all throughout this call how you can do that throughout the year or even attend a mission trip with us next year. And then we're going to hear from some of the rock stars that came on the experience with us. You'll see pictures, all that good stuff. So let's go ahead and answer the first question. Where is Swaziland? Yes, that is typically the first question I get. So Swaziland is this little country right here. It's connected to South Africa. So if you take a look here, this is South Africa. It borders South Africa, and then this is Mozambique. You can see that. And so what we did is we flew into Johannesburg. We then drove 5 hours into Swaziland, and we were in the Nosoko region, which is fairly south. And you can see up here, there's more greenery, there's more parks. Here, like where we were, guys, it was mostly desert. Just very little water, not only because of the rain, like the rainy season that they typically have. They've got a dry season and a rainy season. The rainy season had no rain over the past 3 years, so they were exceptionally dry. But we were in this lower part for most of our time. And then we drove up 5 hours to Kruger National Park. You can see that right here, which is a big national park. And that's where we ended our trip with a safari where we got to see zebras and giraffes and African animals. And it was really, really freaking amazing. So then we drove 5 hours back to Johannesburg to end the trip. So this is the area of Africa that we were in. Swaziland, some stats for you. Lost lots of their fathers and mothers in the HIV/AIDS crisis 10 years ago and throughout the past 10 years. And so there's honestly a missing generation, not only in Swaziland, but in most of Western Europe Western Africa where the HIV crisis was. There's just a missing generation because the moms and dads passed away. And so we have kids raising kids here. There's kids being raised by 80, 90-year-old grandmas, grandmas who had 5 or 6 kids, and most of, 5 of them died, and now they're raising all of their grandchildren. And so despite the simplicity of the area, the hardships of the area, what you're going to hear from the stories of the people that got to go is that the Swazi people are just so filled with love. And so, Cami, I'm going to start with you because the reason why we all got to experience this was because you decided to partner with 2 carepoints several years ago. Tell us how this happened. Tell us the story and how we became connected.
Well, I would love to take all the credit on my own, but I will just say this. The heart of It Works to give back is what fostered this relationship with these care points in Africa and Adventures and Missions and Mark and Scott and the staff of AIM. So I'm going to tell you a little story because I love stories. But, we here locally in West Michigan had partnered with my church actually to help them raise funds needed for their care point. And let me just back up and tell you for a minute what a care point is. And A care point is basically a building where kids can go to throughout the day during the week, typically not the weekends, during the week. It's not a church. However, it is a place where they can do homework, they can be discipled, they can go through counseling. For example, we learned that they offer grief counseling there, which is awesome. Awesome. And so, I love that you're showing pictures, Denise. That's an example of one of the care points and what they look like. And so we were partnering with this church to help them raise the necessary funds to complete the amount that they had committed to for the year. And along with doing that, there was also another program through this ministry called Timbali Crafts. And Timbali Crafts is a group of women who get together and make good, the merchandise, I guess I should say. And the merchandise is bags, purses, aprons, hats, clothing, doll clothing, ornaments, just lots of little types of merchandise that we can buy here in the States. And 100% of what we spend goes back to buy more material and to the women who made the product. And it's really cool because when you buy the product, it comes with a little tag with a website and the name of the person. And I don't know about you, Denise, but I jumped right on with my most recent ones to see if any of them were the go-go's, which is what they call grandmas or grandma figures that do the cooking at the care points, to see if we had actually met any of them, because I was like, is it any of our go-go's? But so I was actually quite inspired by the Timbali craft program. It was very entrepreneurial. I could relate, since 90+% of people doing it works are women. And so I just felt like it was very fitting and we were in alignment. And so we really started supporting the Timbali crafts portion of the Adventures and Missions. And then we had just had a killer meeting in November, sold over $5,000 of this Timbali merchandise. And I just made the comment to the woman who was there selling the stuff, wouldn't it be interesting if God gave us our own care points to partner with? And in less than 4 weeks, I got a call from Scott, one of the staff of Adventures in Mission, and he said, hey, a little birdie told me you might be interested in partnering with us. We just had a businessman walk away from supporting 2 care points. And I said, well, how much money is in the account? He said $300. I said, oh. So the good thing is they hadn't gone to NSF, but basically from that point on, I had decided to support the monthly overhead for the care points. But then collectively, as an It Works family, we decided to help fund projects for the 2 care points. And I love the name of the first care point, Joyella, because it made me just think of joy and what a joy it is to partner with God and his work that he's doing, right? Be the hands and feet, which is so in alignment with what we believe as a company at It Works. And then Maba Tinani too. So we got to go right down there, and we got to actually, and when we left, we thought there was about 260 kids being fed every day at those care points. And just so you guys know, so again, discipleship, it's a safe place for the kids to stay out of trouble. They get a meal every day. A lot of them will take their meals on Fridays and try to spread them out through the weekend, since they don't. For many, it is the only meal they will get all day long. For many, they will share it with the people they have at home. One of the sayings of the people of Swaziland is, we take care of our own, which I thought was very interesting, right? Because in It Works, we believe in the It Works way and taking care of our It Works family. And so many ahas in alignment with the 2 different groups. But Denise, it was just surreal to get down there and not only see these places and know they're real and meet the kids that are being cared for, but to honestly see the difference that's being made and to know that you played a part in that. And then for me, knowing that for about 2 years now, we've been knocking projects off the list through different events where we raise money for our Gives Back initiatives. And it was neat to see the first project they asked us to do was they were repainting all the care points, and they paint the care points the same color so the kids know, number 1, it's safe, and number 2, that it's one of these care points. And when we partnered, they were changing the color. And when we got pictures back of the color that it had been changed to, it was black and green. I thought, whoa, if that's not a sign, I don't know what is. So everywhere you go, everything's very, like you said, it's desert. Everything is brown, dead. And then you have these big black and green care points that just glare at you from everywhere. So that was really fun. It was like almost like a welcome, right? To see the paint on the buildings welcoming you to Nisoko.
Well, Cami, you said yes years ago, and you continue to partner with the CarePoint to take care of their basic needs. But you guys, as a team, we helped supply the paint for the buildings. We helped supply the playgrounds that they get to play on, school supplies, school fees, school uniforms. There's been so many things that as a team, through our Gives Back events, we've been able to help support this. And, you know, like she said, it's one thing to know, it's another thing to see. So, Cami, is there anything you want to add before we move on to Marina?
You know, I guess for me, I was just excited to actually get down there and see that this isn't by any means something where we're just sending money and knocking projects off the list. It really is a partnership. And it was something that I was excited about once I really, truly wrapped my head around that concept, because I realized what they were doing is they were empowering and mentoring, but not, I can't think of the word that I want to use right now, but I think about our businesses so often, and we can build it for them, but you can feed someone all day long, but it's when you teach them how to fish that it truly makes a difference in their lives. And so I love the concept that AIM has, where we partner, we don't provide it for them. You know, it's their efforts, their vision, it's them dreaming, which is everything we embody at It Works. And it reminded me again, you know, we may have personal goals, we may have personal plans for our business, but sometimes the path of least resistance isn't always the best path if the person that you're partnering with doesn't get it, they don't have their own goals, their own vision. I do believe we're in business for ourselves, but we are not by ourselves, but that doesn't mean we do it for them. It means we lock arms and we help coach people along their own personal journey. And it means a whole heck of a lot more. And I don't know about you guys, but some of the hardest things I've ever had to do in life have been some of the things that have made me this person I am today, the things that I'm the most proud of. And I believe that's exactly what we're doing when we were partnering with AIM down there in Swaziland. And Denise, I'm still getting aha moments, and just some of the radical things God did in and through me, some of the things He spoke into my life, some of the lessons, biblical lessons He taught me are going to be something I carry with me forever. And I know I'll be going back every year until He tells me otherwise. And I can't wait to see who He brings alongside us on our future adventures. Now, that's all I'm going to say, because I know our team has had many ahas, and I certainly don't want to take anything away. But Denise, I do have to say one thing that I was really pleased with was watching God give you aha moments and watching Him take your gift of teaching people how to dream and how to play big, not small, and going, how can I bring that here? How can I teach the leaders here who, when we leave, are running everything? And I thought to myself, what It Works is doing for It Works isn't just happening in It Works, it's translating across many platforms, many different groups. And so I know, Denise, you can probably speak for that for many people that were on that trip as well. But I know sitting there, having been in business with you for almost 10 years or over 10 years, and watching God take what He had taught you in It Works to duplicate that throughout the world, just, it gave me chills all the way from my head to my toes. And I was just so stinking proud of you.
Well, thank you. It's so true. I mean, what we learn in this business is exactly what the ministry is doing as well. They aren't going in and doing it for them. They are employing Swazis to do it for themselves. And that they're doing layered leadership right there at the CarePoints. And so for us to come in, like, we loved, I mean, I'm not going to speak for everyone else. I loved the kids. I wanted to hold them. I wanted, they don't have parents, like, they just need moms, right? But I also wanted to love the leader. And I wanted to help take that leadership lid up for them so that they have a stronger capacity. And it's just exciting to see. So Marina, it was actually our first time meeting. talk about meeting in a grand way. Let's hang out in Africa for 10 days. So I was so blessed to get to know you over this trip, and I would love to hear your experience and your favorite parts.
Sounds good. It was pretty awesome to meet in Africa. Well, I guess we met in Atlanta, first of all, for a bit of a layover. And gosh, it's hard to even think of where to start to explain what we all just went through as a team, but it's so exciting that we got to experience it together, and we formed some absolutely incredible friendships on this trip. I can speak for myself that I got to know each and every one of you in such a new and different way, and some of you for the first time. So that was really exciting. And I was just sitting here listening to you guys and going like, where am I going to even start? And I just realized, and I said this in one of our meetings, we would have a meeting every single night after our day to sort of talk about what we had gone through and share our hearts and things like that. And one thing that I had said that I just truly believe is, we have such a different outlook from North America for what we're going into. We truly believe that we're, heading on over to Africa to change lives and help people and do all this stuff, which I'm sure we did. But like for me personally, and I know for a lot of others, it was 110% the other way around. We left there with our hearts so changed. We left there new people with just these hearts of gold, thanks to these people and the joy that they brought us, not only the leaders and the people who are running the show over there who do so much work and probably don't get as much thanks as they should, but the children and the go-go's, like the grandmas, and just all the people that we met at our home visits. There's some pictures. I love the pictures, Denise. We got to spend time with these children who don't spend time with people. You have to understand that the pictures we see on TV and, the stories we hear, it is nothing compared to when you're there. The poverty is so much more than you could ever even imagine. We get there and we realize that these children, some of them 2 and 3 years old, their parents are leaving to go work in the sugarcane fields early in the morning, 4:30 in the morning. So these little tiny children are walking by themselves to get to the care point to make sure they're getting loved on and discipleship and their 1 meal a day. And you'll see these tiny little people just showing up to the care points, and you're like, where's the parent, or where's the older sibling? No, they just walk all by themselves, some of them, and you're just like floored by this. But because they know that they're going to get that 1 meal and that love. And for them, when they saw us first come in that very first day, it was seconds before each and every one of us had a child in our arms that had just grasped onto us. And that feeling, I just don't even know how to express that to you all. Like, it is, if you have children of your own, that love and that feeling. This is so different. It's almost like your own child, and you don't want to let them go because that they don't get hugs and love during the day. It is a feeling of, I don't even know the feeling. I don't even think there's words for it. But you feel this inside that it just changes you. And for a fact that when you're there, that you're going to go back, and that this isn't the last time you're going to see these people. So if this is something that's always been on your heart, make it happen. I was one of the last to find out about this trip. And when I heard about it through Cammie and Barb, I was like, it was a no-brainer. And me being an international leader, I had gone on quite a few trips already this year for our company, and I was afraid to ask my husband to let me go on this one. And I just brought it up to him real quickly, and he was like, you have to go. You have to go on this. And I was like, oh, and we got home a week before from Ireland and France. So it was like such a big deal to be able to actually make it on this trip and to be able to give back to these people and for them to just pour into us. I just can't even say enough about it. We went on these beautiful home visits every single day, and I'm sure others will share their experiences, but I'll just share really quickly one that stuck out to me the most, that made me want to constantly give back to this group. And any kind of ways that we can give back, provide, sell things, do fundraisers to give money is because they need so much more over there. And this one family, there was a lady who had 12 children, and her husband had left her with these 12 kids, plus she's watching some of her grandchildren in this tiny little house. And she's holding her little boy who's about, just a little bit younger than my son Josiah. So maybe about, 9 or 10. And his arms were covered in sores. And so we asked her how he had gotten these sores. And she just starts to explain. And we had a translator, and she's explaining and pointing at his arms and holding him and hugging him, and said that he was so thirsty. And as Denise said before, with the drought and like no water at all, no rain, they're so thirsty, they'll do whatever they have to do. And this little boy found an open sewage and was drinking sewage water day after day after day because he was so thirsty, and that was thirst quenching to him. And he ended up with all of these inside health issues and the sores coming out in his arms, and your heart just like rips out because he's beautiful, this gorgeous little child that you just want to take on home with you and give him North America, medicine and get him all better. And I realized that there's just so much more that we can do as a team and as a whole here in North America. Our money goes so far over there. Like, it's unbelievable how far. I came home and I didn't want to live in my house because I want to sell everything and give it to them, So Barb and I, before leaving, we came home. We pretty much emptied our suitcases, left most of our clothes there, shoes, food that we had brought. We never even snacked on because we just wanted to leave everything. And we just refilled our suitcases with the Tambali craft gifts that the ladies were talking about before. And I think I have 2 items left out of the 30 that I brought. So, people, this is all going back to these women, and that money means so much to them. So if it's in your heart to give back to this at all, know that 100% is going back and to these people, and that it is making a huge difference. $5 is massive down there. So anyways, I came back changed. I am so excited for the next trip and would love to even take my family with me so they can experience what I experienced with all of you. Love you all.
Thank you so much for your story and testimony, Marina. And it's so true. This is a picture of one of the home visits. And because there's no running water and often no electricity, they're doing homework with candlelight. You have to be home by dark because there's no street lights, things like that. And so just life is different. And the cool thing about Cami working and partnering with these 2 specific care points is that when we continue to go back, we're going to see the same kids. We're going to be able to pour in and invest in the same families. And so it's not just giving money that hopefully will get to somewhere. It's really developing and creating relationships, which will create long-lasting change. And I wanted to explain this picture, this little girl, when you were talking about this little girl right here, she just asked to be, she goes, and I pick her up, and within 2 minutes, she's falling asleep. Amanda, you had several in your arms. Marina and Kasha, you guys did too. And what we realized is we was like, oh, it's like 1 o'clock. It's nap time. It's nap time. And they don't have anyone to say, it's nap time, you should take a nap. They don't have beds. They don't have cots here. They don't have, and so it was just they don't have anyone to be their parent. And to me, that was heartbreaking. So, and just why we were there. When we say we went to love on kids, like we did, and they needed it, and it was amazing. So, Amanda, I'm going to go to you. Tell us your favorite parts of the trip.
I'm unmuted. Okay, I'm unmuted. Hey guys, so I'm unmuted, right, Denise? Okay. Well, Marina, very good things that you said. I was super scared to go on this trip, guys. Like, I was tore up for weeks about this trip. And then I just kind of had this aha moment one day that the devil's going to try to keep you from doing good and blessing other people. And if he has me focused so much on all my fears, then I'm not preparing myself. So I just started praying that the Lord would just open the eyes of my heart, that I would be able to go on this trip and be at peace and be able to just be open to whatever the Lord had for me. And I was broken. I'm known as the crybaby of the trip because I think for the first 8 days, I had that ugly cry. But there's so many things that you're going through. You're leaving your family and you're traveling across the world and all these things, but then you get there and just what you see. So a couple things that stood out for me is the community, knowing that, like Denise said, there's a missing generation and these kiddos don't have moms and dads, and their siblings or their neighbor or whoever is helping take care of them. So the community is selfless. They have very, very little, but yet they give back and they help each other. And then you think about the things that you're seeing and then the things that are here in our own life. And do we do that? Do we help other people? We don't do that, especially if you had one meal a day. Are you going to take that and share it with other people, or are you going to just keep that meal and eat it and make sure your belly's full? And they don't do that. Another thing was our first care point that we went to, so our first home visit. I'm a nurse by trade, and I took care of the elderly. I love the elderly. And so our first visit was with an elderly woman who had a concrete building with a couple blankets on the floor that she slept on, and she's in her 80s, guys. So an 80-year-old woman, no furniture, a bucket that she peed and pooped in, a dirty bottle that she had dirty water in, no way to cook, no electricity, no nothing. She had a knee injury, so she couldn't even walk. She sat on her bottom on her dirty, cold concrete floor, and the only way for her to get food was her neighbor would bring her food. And to me, what it looked like was a bowl of scraps. After we have a big meal, we put the scraps in a bowl and we feed it to our dog. That's what her meal looked like. And so after I left that care point or that home visit, a couple of things. First of all, she never complained about anything. And when we asked how we could pray for her, she said, pray for my knee. But then her words of wisdom were, don't stop here, go bless someone else. And I thought, how they praise the Lord and they are so hopeful and so faith-filled when they have absolutely nothing. And I don't do that. I don't live my life like that. And how, I let all my rich girl problems determine how I'm going to feel for my day. So this whole mind shift happened for me, as it did for everyone you're going to hear. And the other thing that I absolutely loved is my birthday was on Sunday, and we were able to go to the African church, and they praise the Lord. It doesn't have to be Sundays. Like, they praise the Lord no matter what, even on a Monday. It's not just when they're in church. And I really got that of, you know what? I have so much to praise the Lord for. They're struggling to eat and they're struggling to drink. They're struggling for their basic needs to be met. But yet they praise the Lord all the time. And that was just awesome. And one of the sermons, or the sermon that we heard, guys, it's so funny how the Lord can take you across the world to break you down and get you quiet enough that he can speak to you. And so the sermon, and this is going to be great because if you guys are around Denise Walsh and Cammie Dempsey, they're always talking about there's power and death in the tongue. Like there just is. And our sermon in Sunday for our church was that there's power in the tongue. And that was just crazy. I actually wrote some notes. So the tongue has power. What you speak will come to life. Guys, this is a pastor in Africa who doesn't have anything, is breathing this into us. You are proclaiming what you speak. What you have spoken, you get. You have the power to deliver. He kept saying over and over, the tongue is the smallest organ with the most power. And he said that over and over, like he screamed it. This guy was God was in Africa in this church on Sunday morning. What is spoken in faith will happen. My tongue has all of the power. And just being blessed and to relate that into the leadership we have with It Works, with Denise and Cammie and everybody else, they speak that into us, and then we get to go across the country and we get to hear the same message, and God is so good.
Yeah, we were all like tracking with this pastor because you can imagine a 3-hour service singing and like in a different language and crazy, 100 degrees and we're sweating and he's like on fire, right? And you see all of us going, that's right. We're like so tracking with this guy. And it was just such a reminder that it truly is one team on one mission, and we can truly come together and create that movement. And it was just so cool to experience. I was going to try to find a picture of the church, but I didn't find it easily. It was basically just sticks of wood with a tarp on it, and that's where they had worshipped for 2 or 3 years, and they had a pastor, and there was just such community and love there. So all right, well, thank you so much, Amanda. If you find that picture, post it or let me know in the chats, and I'll have you share it. But Kasha, I see you next on my screen. I would love to. Oh, thanks. Marina just posted it, so I'll share my screen. See? 1, 2, 1. Here we go. So this was the church that we went to on Sunday. They had chairs lined up in there, and like a little piano thing and microphones, and it was to be remembered. And our offering throughout that Sunday, you could tell it was, I don't know what it was, like 7,000 rand or something like that. And then when they said that, everyone went, and they were pouring concrete, pouring the foundation for their church by Tuesday. It was amazing. So, all right, Kasha, tell us a little bit about your favorite parts of Africa and your aha moments.
Oh, there we go. Hi guys, how are you? I missed you guys so much. So my favorite parts was everything. Every single moment. I tried to take every single moment in. I will touch upon what Amanda was saying, that before I left, I too was afraid and had a lot of people putting their fears on me about going to Africa, about, the possibilities of what can happen there. And I'll reassure you that it was absolutely wonderful. It was safe. Never once felt in any kind of danger. So if it is in your heart to go, please don't let any fears hold you back in that. And the food was phenomenal. So do not worry about food either. They treated us very well because they need us to come back, and because they're such kind, loving people. So yes, let go of any of those fears or what fears people might put on you, and just lead with your heart if you feel led to come on one of our trips with us. One of the things for me was, which Amanda touched upon as well, is that there is no me, I. There is we, us, God, and love. There was, we had balloons for the kids. And these were kids like maybe 2, 3, maybe 4 at the max with us at the carepoints where the other kids were at school. This was before we did a few home visits, and they were fighting over the balloons. And, we saw this, all of us were kind of, we're watching this happen. And I thought for sure that one of the go-go's, the grandmas, was going to scold the kids or say, if you keep fighting, I'm going to take that balloon away. And she didn't. She brought them all over and prayed with them about sharing and being kind to one another. And that was just extraordinary, and something that I will definitely take back to my kids, and be more calm and patient with them, and pray with them more in those situations where we're so frustrated with them. Going in, you think that you're going to, give these people so many blessings and pour so much life over them. And we did. You could see that we definitely gave hope to people, and it was amazing, but you will receive so much more in going, and they want to pour as much life into you as you want to give to them. I reaffirmed my faith in Africa, which I will never, ever forget. And it is one of those things where I think, in North American society, we have a tendency of either shying away from our faith, or organized religions, or sharing or trusting in God as much as we should. And there you can see that they have nothing and they love him like I have never seen in my life. They do not blame him for their hardships because it's not of him, and they know that. And here we blame him for certain things sometimes, or certain people do. And we just have to, I will always love him more and trust him unconditionally. I have such a peace over me from my trip there, and I can't even explain it. And the relationships that you make with the people that are there, and the people that you go with, will forever be in your heart. So
God was there, and we could feel him within our group and within the work that we were doing.
yeah.
Amazing. You know, when we say life-changing, when we say legacy-changing, like, it's more than just money, you guys. It just is. It's deeper than that. And this trip is just one example.
And don't feel like money holds you back from going as well. It's just not a thing. And we have, we have a full year. I started fundraising yesterday. We can do this. You can do this. You can make it happen. You can work harder in your business and take those funds to it. And people will help you. People will help. They want to. They want to be a part of something. They know that it's bigger than just you and I. They know it's, and they want to be a part of it. So.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm going to do a breakdown of what this trip cost at the end. But just know that we had people at the beginning say no, they couldn't come because of funds. And yet we had people raise everything, including their airfare, including vaccines, including extra things that they may have. People, when they started asking, people said yes because they wanted to partner with them. So thank you very much, Kasha.
Thank you.
All right, Pam and Lauren, you are next on my screen. Hey, guys.
It's not on. Oh, it's not on.
All right. So we'd love to hear your aha moments and favorite parts of our Africa experience.
Well, Pam and I we were talking about this a while back, and it was really, we went to one of the home visits we went to. The lady was paralyzed partially through her one side, and she was living there by herself. And we walked all the way up to her house, and it was a good, I don't know, probably maybe 100 feet plus to her house, and brought the food, and we sang with her, and we prayed with her, and it was a wonderful time. But as we left, she walked us all the way to the gate. I mean, here's a lady who could, remember that, Amanda? She could barely walk, and she walked us all the way to the gate. And I thought, we don't know, we really don't know what impact. I'm afraid if we did, we might be, God has blessed us with in this way, that if we knew what type of impact we had, he might, I'm one that might be gloating, or I might say, well, look what I did or something. But God says, trust me, you go in my name. You be the vessels that I've called you to be. I'll do the rest of the work. You don't necessarily have to see it all. And in fact, he goes, some of my best work is when it isn't seen. And I just, I looked back at her and I waved, and she stopped right there by the fence and just was holding on to the fence and waving goodbye. So that was I still see her in my face, in my dreams, in my head. I can't escape that. To think that how precious that time was.
It's amazing is when we would pray with these families, we realized that, like, we were an answer to their prayer. I mean, we were bringing them food, we were bringing them comfort, we were bringing them love. And God was using us to be his hands and feet, and they treasured that enough to walk you out and be so hospitable and gracious, even in pain.
And the other thing, when we went to the home visits, most of them would lay out mats for us to sit on the floor in their house or the ground outside of their house, and that literally was their beds. They were giving up their beds to give us comfort for our visit with them. And there's just so many emotions that I still have. I'm just still processing. still there. I haven't unpacked everything, but there was one little girl. Her name was Nanisha. I think I'm pronouncing that correctly. Met her at the church, and she sat on my lap and actually fell asleep during part of it. She was so exhausted. But I can't get her out of my mind. And she didn't have any shoes, and she doesn't go to school because they can't afford it, which is another whole Zoom in itself on why these kids have to pay to go to school in that country. But my heart is with her, and I learned that she lives with her grandma, and they obviously get a meal a day at the care center. And a lot of them, though, don't eat on Sunday because they don't have any food. They don't have any means, any money. So these kids that are receiving the foods at the care points during the week oftentimes don't eat all that they're given because they take it home for their grandmas that are taking care of them. And they take it home so they have food on Sunday, or they wouldn't eat anything. There's just so many things. God just revealed so much to me personally during that, just the water. They don't have water. I mean, we go to our drinking fountains and our sinks and get water whenever we feel like it, and they don't. They have to travel oftentimes, a mile or more just to get water, and it's not always that clean. And just how blessed we are in this country that we have all of those things accessible to us. And they don't have any bitterness. Our power goes out here, and how often do we complain because our power is out for a day and we can't function and life is just in an uproar? And they don't complain. They're very content. And I just really hope that I can hang on to that and be content in everything as the Lord calls us to.
Can I share just quick 2 changes that I've made since we've come back that I feel that God has taught me to do? He says, I bow on my knees every morning before I start my day and I pray. That's something I never did before for years. I would pray, standing up, pray, sitting down, have our breakfast. That's the number one thing. And now I love to sing wherever I go. We were at the store the other day, and I heard a lady in line kind of humming and singing, and I was trying to hear what song she was singing. I didn't get it, but I thought maybe that can be an outreach. You don't know. Somebody could be hurting, and they want to hear just a hymn of something. So that's the 2 things I've put in or input into my life that I believe that God can use as a vessel to carry, his message across the world.
Yeah, absolutely. You never know when someone hears you and it's exactly what they needed.
Yeah.
If this picture, you can see this picture, this is one of the home visits, and this is the mat that Pam was talking about, and they brought their mats out, and guys, this was their bed, and that's where they slept. And this is a story. This lady right here is 99 years old, we learned. Her eyes are grayed over. She has, from what I remember, you can tell me if I'm not quite right, but I believe she had like 6 kids and 5 of them had passed away. This lady right here is one of her daughters. And so these are all her grandchildren. This lady has 2 kids and the rest are grandchildren from the ones who passed away. And it was this home visit. It was the first home visit that we did where we realized the kids are wearing the same clothes that they were wearing the day before. I didn't think about that. And they don't have electricity. I mean, when you go and see it, you're like, okay, like it just goes from your head to your heart. And this family will forever be like, we were on a mission to get them more candles and pack up more bags. And we left that family saying like, oh my gosh, can we do more? Like, is this pile of food enough? Like, what else can we do? And it was pretty powerful. So, all right, Barb Hauser, I know you were in a meeting, but if you are able to unmute yourself. Oh, there you go. There you go. You're unmuted now.
Awesome. Like Marina said, where do we really begin? This adventure, was something that was so eye-opening and enlightening in so many ways. we truly do not realize how blessed we are. I think I really experienced true joy, like for the first time, or I discovered the meaning of true joy in watching these people. The three things, I guess, that impressed me the most about the people there were just the sense of community that they have, honestly, was something that just made me realize, we talk about our families, we talk about, our teams in this business are like our families, and yet we do not treat each other with the love and kindness that we saw exampled in these people. Our first day there, going to the carepoints, we really had no idea what to expect, and we got there and we were kind of making this giant feast. And, it was like rice and chicken and carrots and beets. And, I think for many of us, I don't know, for myself anyways, I just kind of assumed that they must get meals like that every so often. And we helped the women prepare it. And there's all these women who had, just come and kind of contributed their time freely from the community. And, they did that because this was the way that their children and their grandchildren were being fed. And so it was kind of their act of service to come and be there and help. And they didn't complain about anything. They didn't complain about what they didn't have. We were using a rippled piece of metal siding as our countertop for their kitchen. And we were using pieces of cardboard to chop on. And, we don't realize, like, all the millions of gadgets and whatnot that we have in our kitchens and things, we just don't even appreciate half the time what we have. And they make the most crude things work to their advantage for what they need. And, being a part of that and just seeing, but I remember there was one little girl that I've shared this story so many times because it just made such an impact on me. But, someone had given her a cookie, and there was no other children that got cookies, but this little girl went around breaking her cookie into the most minuscule pieces. And I had like 3 children sitting on my lap at the time. And, she came over and made sure that each one of them got a piece of that cookie. And I thought, I know my kids, if they hadn't had cookies in months, they would have just like run into the corner and hid and scarfed down their cookie. And yet here they are, they want to all be treated equally. The same thing, we had staff that we had created, put gifts together for. And because we didn't have enough, they wouldn't accept the ones that we had because they didn't want anyone to miss out. And I just think, how in that society, when they have nothing, we went to home visits where neighbors had come and dropped off food for them. And you're thinking these neighbors are living in these rundown homes and don't have much food themselves. And yet they're willing to, come and share whatever it is that they do have so that their neighbors don't go more hungry than they do. And it touched me in such a way in realizing that, like, we talk about the mission field that we have even in our own backyard of, shelters and crisis centers and things like that. And, we don't necessarily go out of the way to do all that we can for them. How many times as moms do we, take our kids' clothing and donate it to a friend who has more than enough? And yet there's so many people around us that we could contribute more to, and just little ways in our life that we can make a difference. So the sense of community was one thing, and faith was just another. That, I think when everything gets stripped away and we don't have all the luxuries of life, it really makes you rely on the Lord in such a different way. And, my faith has always been a huge part of who I am, and my upbringing, and in the way that I look at life and the way that I'm able to handle difficult situations. But to imagine going through the disparity that they do with losing parents and losing children due to AIDS and different illnesses. And yet they still just call on the Lord for everything, and they thank him for everything that they do have. The sense of gratitude is like nothing, I think we could have fathomed before we were there. How grateful they were for the time with us, to see those children with a lollipop for like the first time in their life for most of them, such a small, simple thing that is, pennies, that just the way their faces lit up over those treats and whatnot, it just they were so grateful for every single thing. And they were just grateful for us to be there. And, you know, like many of you guys have talked about, just wrapping our arms around them and giving them love and hugs, because a lot of them, their moms are working all the time and they're not, you know, they just don't have anybody to hold them. And to think that most days when we're not there, they are taking their naps on the ground. And yet with us being there, they got to take a nap on someone and feel our love and hugs. And, you know, there's so many small ways that we can give back and contribute. And, you know, I think that if you can go on one of these trips, I highly would encourage you to, because it just opens your eyes in so many different ways to how blessed we are. And, you know, like we said, like first world problems, rich girl problems, you know, we don't look at ourselves like that. And just like Marina said, you know, I came home and like burst into tears to my husband. I was like, we need to move. Like, you know, we've been so blessed and we could do so much more for other people. And when you think that for $6.50 a day, you know, maybe the price of a Starbucks for us, you know, that feeds a child for an entire month and gives them clean drinking water. And some of those home visits that we went on were utterly heart-wrenching. You know, I was with Marina at that one home where the mom with 12 children and her grandchildren living with her, and that little boy, you know, that was just so shocking to think about, you know, if our kids were that thirsty that they would go and drink from a sewer, and to have a bacterial infection that, you know, with our modern medicine, you know, they take an antibiotic and they could be completely fine. But something like that can be, you know, life altering and it caused death for them. To see like a woman who had injured her finger and, you know, how inflamed it got, and to think like a Band-Aid and polysporin, what a difference that could have made for her. So I just, you know, I honestly have already started packing suitcases and collecting things from my own home and from other people that I've already shared stories with. Like Marina said, those Timbali crafts bags, you know, I'm just selling those as quickly as I can, and for, you know, twice the price of what they expect for them, because really like what our dollar is worth. To think about these people working in the sugarcane fields who are making, you know, between $7 and $9 a month in our money, you know, 70 to 90 Rand for them. And then to look at the fact that a bag of beans costs them 50 Rand, you know, it's nuts to think of how little they survive on and how far they stretch things. And, you know, when we talk, you know, a lot of us think going on these trips and stuff that the money doesn't necessarily go to the kids, but the money absolutely does. You know, the money that we raised, that $1,600, not only did it cover for us to have a beautiful accommodations, much greater than we expected, we also were able to go and do home visits, and 15 home visits where families got a bag of beans, a bag of rice, a bag of cornmeal, sugar, salt, oil, cabbage, soup mix, and washing powder. Like, you know, it's crazy what a difference we've made to those 15 homes by us contributing, you know, just of us going. And there were so many people in our lives who wanted to contribute and support us with the fundraising. And, you know, it's one of those things that you have to not feel selfish to ask for help, because it makes people feel good to do things for other people. And you have the opportunity to help other people be a ministry in themselves in giving back in some small way. And if you're able to go and be the hands and feet, I promise you, you'll have an absolutely life-changing experience. And, you know, you'll want to do everything and give everything that you possibly can. And, you know, we're all part of the family of God. And that was something that really struck me, is just like these people, they believe in the same God that I do. They have the same faith that I do. And that's my brothers and sisters. And I can do so much more for them than I have up until this point. And I'm excited for the way that God has moved in my life through this experience, and the way that it's changed me as a person. And I hope that I will just continue to be able to make more and more of an impact to the communities there, but also in the community right where I am, because I know that this is also a mission field, you know, that God has graced each of us with where we are.
Thank you so much, Barb. It's true. You come back a different person, and then you think, all right, how can I keep this new person alive and not get sucked back into real life, but really keep that in the forefront of our mind, and giving back locally is an amazing way to do that too. So I'm going to go through our itinerary really quick and how much things cost. I'm going to answer some of your questions. So if you're interested in going on the trip down the line, if you've got questions, let us know. But ways that you can serve and give to these 2 care points throughout the next year is to give back at events. It Works gives back. It does just that. Locally, we choose to partner with Adventures in Missions and send money to these care points to help take care of projects, and that's something our One Team, One Missions, our boot camps, and local events focus on. Wherever you are, you certainly can, you guys are focusing on your own gives back, so it can be partnered with the same, or it could be your own local space. So gives back is one way that you can consistently throughout the year give to the cause. You can also have your own Africa box. We put our own Africa box in my boys' closet, and anything they outgrow all year, we're putting it in there. We're starting now to donate. I told my son, and he immediately grabbed his shoes and hugged them. And I thought, we have a lot of work to do. But that's something that we can do all year long to give to, to just be ready and really support that cause. The other thing is the Tambali crafts. When we're at an event, support Tambali crafts by purchasing them yourself, or you can they send you a box on consignment, and you can sell them at your corporate event or at your boot camps, your One Team, One Missions, etc. So think about that and let us know if you're interested. It basically costs about, I believe it was $1,600 total for on the ground costs. Once you're there, everything is taken care of, including the safari, including the meals, including your lodging. We stayed in safari-like type places, so we had a bed, running water, coffee maker in our room. Our food was totally normal food, salads and burgers and whatever, and so we ate breakfast and dinner at our lodging, and then lunch was sandwiches, and I brought my own, shake and greens, and we lived on that throughout the day, and it was perfectly fine. Running water and normal bathrooms for us. However, when you're at the care points, you kind of have to do this once just to say you did. But this is the outhouse that they had at the care points. This is the question everyone always wants to know. And this is what it looked like. And once you do it once, you kind of don't do it again. But this is the bathroom that was at the care points. And honestly, this is like the outhouse that was behind most of the homes. You see their house, and then a little bit further away, you see the outhouse, and this is what it looked like. So this was not our conditions consistently, but I did have to mention that it's happening, and you kind of have to do it. But when you think, so all we had to pay for out of pocket was the airplane ticket, because the $1,600 was raised through boot camps, through It Works events, through asking, through letters, all of that. And then we just paid for our plane tickets. But Amanda, I'd love for you to just briefly share, because we're about out of time, what you did to raise all of your funds.
So this whole process, like I said earlier, was a growing experience, and I am a huge giver. I'm not a good receiver. So I knew when Denise asked me to do this trip, I'd already been telling the Lord, I surrender to you. And I don't know what that looks like, but I completely surrender every area of my life to you. And then Denise messages me and says, hey, do you want to go to Africa? So that was not just by chance. We know that. So then I knew I'm a giver, guys. So when my friends and family go on mission trips, I support them financially, and I pray for them while they're on that trip. That's something easy for me, but going was never easy for me. So what I decided was, you know what, if the Lord really wanted me to go on this trip, he's going to provide. And so one day I was in tears, and I was just having quiet time with the Lord. And he had said to me, Amanda, do you like to give? Yes. Do you think other people like to give? Yes. Well, then ask. And so I just started the process of asking. And you know what? The first conversations I had with people, Denise, I bawled my face off. Like, I cried, and I think they just gave because they felt sorry for me. But I knew that this trip was going to cost me a certain amount of money. with my shots and even down to my snacks. So I had everything covered, every stinking cent of my trip covered, just by asking and saying, okay, Lord, do you want me to do this? I surrender, and I'm going to be obedient, and I'm going to ask, and I'm going to let others have that experience of blessing me. And 100% of it was covered.
It's amazing. So whatever your fear is, you guys, whatever it's fear of being safe or the food and your gut health while you're gone, you had no like sickness or issues, whether it's finances, whatever it is, like if you feel that holy discontent where that something's stirring within you, say yes. Just decide to say yes and spend the next year trying to figure out the how, because I can tell you this picture just sums it right up. This trip is all about love, and you are going to come back feeling and experiencing more of that love than you ever have before. So let us know if you are interested in being on the list. We're getting everything set up for next year. And thank you for listening to our stories and letting us share our hearts, because we have come back changed. So thank you guys. Love you. Bye.